Well, y'all, if you're wondering where we've been, what we're up to, where we're going, and if we got anything to share, just kick the tires and light the fires because me and the boys are back in the house and we're fixing to spill the beans. So, my friends, pull up a chair, adjust your volumes just right, and welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
This is my life, country born and raised. When that whistle blows, I'm on the trail, pounding in my head. There's a will, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way.
Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, brought to you by ElkBros.com, with your host Gilbert Ornelas and elk hunting coach Joe Gillia. You want to hunt elk? They live to hunt elk. Their goal is to share with you what they have learned grinding it out for over 35 seasons, doing what they love. So come on into camp and set a spell. Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunters.
Hello there, everyone. If it's your first time with us, glad to have you. Hope you enjoy the show. And as always, for our blue collar hunters following us every week and grinding it out with us, welcome back to Elk Camp. I'm Gilbert Ornelas, the host of your show, coming to you from Spring, Texas. And whoo boy, is it good to be back, y'all. And joining me today, we've got the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia and my personal arrow builder and best friend, Luis Gonzalez, is in the house. WWJGD's in the house, and he's got it teed up for us and ready to go. We have the owner of the Western Contours podcast and the man with the golden voice and the one that says our main content. Mr. Guy
You gotta at least
Duplantier
look at me, dude.
Today, we want to welcome two of our adventure coaches with us and members of our team. The mayor, that's right, Mr. Jose Centas is ready. The mayor of the Chase Ranch. And the mountain mongrel himself, I call him the quiet assassin, because no matter how steep or deep in the mountain, he just chews them up, guys. Mr. Jeremy Gilbertson in the house. What's up, brother Jeremy?
Good to be here.
Guys, welcome back to Elk Camp, man.
God dang. Welcome, hey, listeners. Welcome. We've missed you, but we've been busy.
No doubt. Super busy.
So what do they say? Sorry, but not sorry? You know what I mean?
Sorry, but not sorry.
Right. Dang, man. Yeah, it's been busy as heck. And we had to start this out bringing in two of our guys because, we got us a crew. I mean, we have such a great crew, and our goal is for everybody to meet our cast of characters as we go, man. But we got some things. Everybody has been busy. Like, I haven't seen my brother Luis in a little while, and I'm offended. I thought I was your personal arrow builder, bro.
Negative. Negative, brother. Luis builds all of my arrows, man.
Come on, man.
I know, bro. Sorry. I have to take a back seat to the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia, man.
I get a little bit of Elmer's, man, just
What jig are you using, Joe? Maybe I'll have you build mine. Riddle me this.
Riddle me this. Guys, I'm so glad to have the mayor on with us and
yes, sir.
The quiet assassin with us tonight. I did a little blog on Big O Rucks on the Instagram page, man, and I tried to shout out to all our coaches, man, and give them the proper shout out. Man, we just couldn't have done what we've done this year without them, Joe.
Oh, no kidding. No, and it's funny because and we're going to talk a lot more about this, when we start getting into what we've been doing and stuff, but for where we've gone, it's all about the people, man. You guys listening right now, why even watch this doggone show? Well, hopefully you're learning a little bit from us. But if you're like me, I just enjoy being around these dudes, right? These are people that I love to be around. Well, most of them, anyway. We've got such a neat crew, and it was going to be about the people. Right? And the type of people that have come into the fold with us, I think everybody that listens is just going to really enjoy these guys. Once they loosen up, if we can get them as loose as they were around the campfires and stuff, I think we'll, yeah.
Camp loose or podcast loose, right? You're going to have to
Podcast
temper what you say because you want to hit the beat button all the time, dude.
Yeah. Well, there's ways to get around that and still have a good time, man. So,
Well, you said around the campfire comfort.
yeah.
Dangerous.
Let's see. I think both our fellas here, both of our coaches this year scored on their elk. Jeremy in Colorado, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just Heck yeah.
It was a great
Heck
trip.
yeah.
Unit I'd been into before and got one up at tree line after 12 hard days of rough weather.
See, that's the thing I want to come out here. 12 days, bud, right?
No, he said 12 hard days.
12
hard
hard.
days.
There you go.
Well, and when Jeremy says hard days, let's put this into perspective,
Yeah.
right? So this guy, when he was going to hunt Unit 53 in northern New Mexico,
You're never gonna let me forget this.
when he was going to hunt that, man, he was like, okay, give me some points of where I should go. And what I did, dude, was I gave him like waypoints that a person could spend a week in, right? And I had waypoints in this section. I had waypoints in this section. I had waypoints in this section. And he would like text me after morning number 1, and he goes, okay, I already did that first section. And I'm like, say what, dude? You could do that with a mule or a horse in the morning, man. This guy just literally runs in. So I'm like, I give him a real difficult one. The Italiano Trail going up from Taos Ski Valley, going up into the wilderness over the top, and that's like an afternoon jog for him. He tells me, he's like, there's no elk in there. I'm like, you did this in like what, a half hour, and there's no elk in there? He just
I didn't want to find the elk in there because I wasn't gonna be able to get them back out.
I don't think that would have bothered you, man. This dude just like chewed up every mountain and place that I gave him. So when he says hard hunting in Colorado, what elevation were you at?
We were camped at about 11, and I killed at 11.8, and we were going down to about 9 in between those spots. A lot of vertical, a lot of rough terrain. We were seeing moose and sheep and bears and everything, but yeah, I couldn't have asked for a harder or more rewarding hunt. Not a huge bull, but in those units, it's not about size.
Was it the morning or the evening of the 12th day?
It was right at noon.
Right at noon.
Mhm.
What? Shot a bull at noon?
Noontime bull.
You mean
Last him
during lunch?
avalanche shoot at about 10, and just crawled into his bedroom at noon in a rainstorm.
There you go. That's freaking awesome.
That's hunting right there.
So he has a story, and then the mayor up there in what's the date of this, Jose? What was the date? November what on that?
It was like the 9th.
The 9th. November
The
9th.
9th.
And so this is something that I want people to realize, because now that we're in this I don't know, outfitting business that we do in the properties, I get to really see like how people what they feel like are good hunts and what they feel, they're always going, what's the best time to get a big bull, right? What's the best time to big bull? And most people think rut, they think first rifle. And I keep telling people, man, November, December is such a good time for big bulls. And Jose goes out November 9th, you said, boss? Right?
Yep.
And
second day.
Day 2. And I get a text on my phone that says, I just killed a tank, right? And let me tell you what, man, the bull, now everybody likes to shoot a big mature bull. And, for us, like Jeremy, we didn't talk about the size. We talked about the difficulty. We talked about the experience, But Jose, this was his first opportunity to hunt this area. And it was really cool. We were all rooting for him. He throws me a text, and the bull scored what, Jose? Was it like 290? What was it?
It was like 363 unofficially,
363.
but I'm gonna settle for the
Man.
350 because that's been my dream
You got
forever,
it,
man. I was
you
like,
got it, my
oh
man.
my, I
If he
couldn't
grew
believe
it, he
it.
gets it. I ain't
Oh
deducting
man,
nothing off of him.
Oh,
yeah,
that,
I didn't realize he was that big. When I first seen him, uh, I didn't even realize because he was such a distance away from me that when I put him on the scope, there was another bull with him that was much wider, and but he wasn't as pretty as that one. That one comes out of the brushes, and I'm like, man, if I'm going to do this, I'm gonna go for that pretty one. And when I set up for it, I was like, well, I was already set up on a tripod, and this area has always been good. And like I was telling Joe and everybody here, I mean, you guys said it right a while ago. November, December, man, for these big old monster bulls are coming in. Ask Jeremy, man. I kept telling him at the first of the season when we're hunting together, I'm like, dude, I'm waiting for these big bulls to come in. And don't get me wrong, man, we were smoking some nice bulls
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
at the first of the year and stuff like that going through the season, man. But I kept telling him, I'm like, dude, these guys that are coming down are giants. And but yeah, this is the first time I've ever come up on a bull to where there was no ground shrinkage. It just kept growing like
Ground
weeds.
swell.
And I was
Yeah,
like,
ground swell.
oh, what did I do? What did I do? And I just sat there and I fell to my knees. Honestly, I fell to my knees and I was like, oh my. And I was like, so I sat there and I was like, well, the work's going to begin because I'm by myself at this point. Now I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man, well, it's time to grind it out, boys. So I started cleaning it up and I was like, well, maybe Joe, maybe he'll be around. And I texted him, and you guys showed me the Zolio thing to
Yeah.
take with me. And for some reason that morning, I just like, I better turn this on and take it with me and hook it up on me. And I got up there and I sent the text out. Wasn't expecting anybody to answer. And man, just, it wasn't even 5 minutes, man. Ding, I could hear that thing just ringing. Where are you at? And I'm like, dude, I'm at the Salt Lick Lookout, man. This old guy, he shows up. I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't even finish cleaning this bull out. And he shows up. But it was unbelievable. Thank you, ElkBros. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for giving me this opportunity. And man, all you guys listeners out there,
You
stuff
earned it,
like that,
amigo.
man, call these guys, man. I'm telling you, they welcome me into the family, and I've never felt more welcome into a deal like this ever. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys very much, man.
Very
Let
welcome,
me
brother.
tell you though, he tells me where he's at, right? And I drive my truck up to where his truck is, and there's no Jose around. I figure, okay, what, 200 yards maybe, if his truck's here or something, And so I start yelling, and I hear some cow calls and whistling and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, he must be down in the canyon. So I go over to the edge because we're on the top, bud. We're on the top of the
Been
daggone
really close
world.
to you if you heard it.
Yeah, and so I start going over to the edge and looking down into this canyon. I'm looking down there trying to see him, and I'm like, hey, and I hear whistling and stuff like that, and I'm like,
That
God dang,
herd.
I'm deaf, but I ain't blind, man. What the heck is this dude, And I was like, God, I could swear he's up in the sky, man. And I look up straight across on the other side of the canyon. I see this little tiny man, and Jose ain't tall, right? Jose, and I see this little tiny dude, man, waving like this. I'm like, God dang, man. So I'm like, if we're gonna pack this out, that lunch date with my wife ain't gonna happen, man. Dude, we're talking going down the canyon vert, then go up the vert, and then get up to the top to pack this thing out, So I just started looking where, how the land was, where the roads were and stuff like that. And I found a way to get the buggy right around. It took about an hour, but we got pretty close to him and able to get that booger out and, give this dude a big old hug. And man,
Oh man, it was special for sure.
yeah,
It really was. I'm like, I don't know. I just keep thinking about it every day. Um, I've been working and grinding it out every day, different jobs that I have, and every morning before I take off, I peek in my shop. I look at him. I'm like, "Yep, he's still there, man. He's real. He's real." And it's like, oh, but I didn't realize how big he really was until Joe and I got him back to the pickup, and we put him in the back of that truck, and he filled up the bed of that truck. And this is a long bed truck,
Yeah.
and I was like,
He asked me.
"Oh man."
He goes, "How big do you think he is?" And I go, "I think he's 350 plus, you know."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Really?" He says, "Man, I hadn't even really thought about it." And he started looking at it, you know, at that point. But
It's not like he really measured it. I mean, he just said 363.25. That's, he thinks, he said.
you know,
Thanks.
what's so cool is this dude has put in 9 years of just, you know, where he works guiding on this ranch, man. He's put so many people on big animals, and for him to have the opportunity himself, you know, to squeeze the trigger was ultra special, man. So
Yeah.
um,
Congratulations, brother.
Well deserved.
So lucky to have
Thank you,
him on the
guys.
team.
very
Yeah.
well deserved, bud. So, you know,
Yeah.
welcome aboard, man. And I tell you, and this message is to all of our team and crew that's going to listen to this, man. I you know, Gil says that, and I never realized, Gil says that I don't give out, you know, compliments easy. I don't know about that, but you know, I let me tell you what, we have a special group of men, and we got some real studs and stuff. So for you guys listening, we're back, and I tell you, we had some people that I got some emails from people that were worried, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Ah, dang, are the ElkBros still together?" You know, and well, there's been divorces along the way, and there's been, you know, new courtships and everything like that. But no, we're alive and kicking, man, and we're doing more than alive and kicking. I'd say we're prospering, you know. So,
Joe, I tell you, my daughter's doing her like residency up in a little hospital or a little outpatient place in Huntsville, and she's an OT up there, so she's seeing patients and doing her own thing. And one of her patients came in, and he's a big game hunter and stuff like that, and he'd hurt his hands or something like that, and so she'd been working with him on getting his hands back right. And he said, "Oh man, I got to get everything ready because next year I want to go on a big elk hunt." And she goes, "Oh really? Where are you hunting?" So she said, "Well, my dad and he's got some partners, but they have an outfitting business in New Mexico." And he looked at her and he goes, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah." And they have a podcast called Blue Collar Elk Hunting. He goes, "Oh my God, your dad is Big O." He goes, "Oh my God." He goes, "I listen to them all the time." He goes, "But I'm really kind of pissed off at them because they ain't put nothing out in forever. And I've listened to them all like over and over and over again." So I can't remember that young man's name, but if you've been working with my daughter up there in Huntsville, Texas, man, this is for you. We're putting it back out. We're coming back out, and we're ready to rock and roll. So
we'd have been out a lot sooner, but Guy and Luis would, you know, they were never available. So
Hey guys, good to know they can't do it without us, bro.
That's the truth, brother.
So we got some goals tonight for you guys listening. Welcome back around the campfire. We apologize that it's been a while, but I just tell you this: this has been a good thing in a lot of ways, and we'll talk more about that and how that is. We got some goals for tonight so that you know what's about to happen here. We're going to answer the questions: where have we been? The future of ElkBros, the future of this podcast. We're going to update everybody on ElkBros and ElkBros Adventures. We're going to get the ElkBros mailbox rolling again. We got a great question tonight. In fact, we got a question from Seth Wally out of Fort Collins, Colorado that's going to be coming up. And then we're going to discuss and I, instead of putting it out to the group to do this, because if we'd have done this, we'd have gone with 15 of these, but I wanted to talk about 3 of my most glaring possible failure points from the season. In other words, things that I saw from a 10,000 foot view looking at things that I thought were glaring failure points or possible failure points that we want to help you to avoid. Something to think about and keep in the back of your head. So you're going to get some learning material from that. Concerning elk hunter behavior or elk behavior, we're going to talk about the biggest overall possible failure point, one of those that I saw. And these are different, I think, than things we've been talking about. And I think because we are coaching people now, and because I get to see my coaches, I get to be there viewing what my coaches are doing as well, and what those hunters are
Failure
doing.
points.
You get a whole different viewpoint with doing that. So I'm going to talk about, and get this, the biggest rifle hunter possible failure point. Yes, y'all, that's going to be one of the benefits of everything that we've been doing is, we're doing so much more and getting ready to put out so much more rifle content. So rifle hunters, get ready for that. And the biggest archery possible failure point, again, kind of some glaring things that I saw that we haven't talked about. So those are about to come up. And I don't know if you fellows have looked at them there, and we'll get to them here in a little bit. I'm anxious to hear what y'all's views are on those as well. So let's start it out by talking about where we've been, the future of ElkBros, and the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Podcast. So I think in order to tell you where we've been, if you've listened to us, it really had to do with ElkBros Adventures, right? Since July, it has been nonstop for us. And I mean, 2 properties, the historic Chase Ranch right here in Cimarron, New Mexico, and the Martinez Canyon Camp that we have, the American Creek properties in Unit 48 in northern New Mexico. These are the 2 properties that we have, and a lot of y'all out there are going to go, okay, man, you guys are talking about blue collar elk hunting, and now you guys are hunting on private land, right? And not on public land. Well, yes and no on that. But also, I want to have that discussion on that, man.
One of the reasons why we wanted to push to get back to private land was really when we're coaching, we want to eliminate that in somebody coming up in our set or somebody coming up while we're training hunters to call and those kinds of things. It was a failure mechanism that we could eliminate by being on private ground, not having somebody just roll right through what you've been doing, right? So was one of the big contributing factors. And not only that, there was a lot of sentimental value in us getting back to the Martinez. If anybody knows the ElkBros story at all, I mean, it was a huge deal for us to get back.
Absolutely.
And from everybody that's been in the play of this, I couldn't thank them from the bottom of my heart enough. From the landowner that's there that we deal with to everybody that's contributed to us making that even a better place than we ever found it. So phenomenal season. Can't wait to keep going and expand it on why we feel like that was a good move for us.
Well, let me ask you guys, what would you say are some of the negs of being on private land?
There's no, this is a hard one for me, right? There's no right or wrong to the pursuit, right?
Agreed.
There's no right or wrong to it. If you have the ability, be it financial or time or whatever, right, to take on either endeavor, doesn't matter,
Right.
right? If you can, you will. If you have an opportunity to make it a little bit more luxurious in a big camp financially, you're going to do it. I don't care who you are. If you're saying you're calling snot on somebody because that's where they're hunting, chances are it's a screwed up view, but you haven't put yourself in a position or not in a position to do it. There's no difference. There is no wrong way to pursue any of this unless it's poaching. That ain't a elk hunter, right?
Right.
That,
and we should support all of it. We should support all of it, whether it's public, DIY, or private. It don't matter, man. We should.
I mean, it's a three strand barbed wire that an elk is literally stepping over, walking through. There's no difference. Joe and I hunted. I'm gonna say we were almost an even split for the few days, public and private, right?
Right. Yeah, because we had a public land tag.
Yeah. So there ain't that drives me crazy. Drives me
So I
crazy.
was gonna add to that. I can tell you that my hunt wasn't any easier because we were in private. Just start there. It just
Facts.
wasn't any easier
Right.
because we
Facts.
were in
Elk,
private.
elk are elk. You still have to do all the right things, and they're going to do what they can to survive no matter what, right?
Yeah. And
It's not like these
and
birds
then
that were
and
on
then I
them.
still had boundaries because I didn't have a unit Y tag.
Right.
And then when you would hear them in public land, you're like, well, dang it. When you're on that side, you're wishing, you in this side, and when
Yeah,
you're in
vice
this side,
versa.
you wish,
Yeah.
what's the deal? I told that to Gilbert when we
Yeah.
were hunting. I was like,
Well,
well,
you
isn't this
you
something?
guys were hunting the apparent food plots that we have all over that private land, right? Yellow clover and big alfalfa patches.
Yeah, sure.
Radish everywhere.
Yeah,
There is no
it goes
difference.
back to the point of my hunt was not any easier
None.
because we were in private land.
Yeah, not at all.
I
Yeah,
was hunting with Joe Gillia, right? The hunt wasn't any easier on private with Joe Gillia than when we crossed the fence line and went 15 miles down that road to public.
yeah.
Right? Because they weren't on private yet. We weren't seeing them. I mean, it's crazy, man. Crazy.
Elk.
The pursuit can't be wrong.
That's the thing, man. Elk are going to do what elk do, and that's going to come in play with a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So I just wanted people to understand that it's really, really cool that we have an environment that's closed in, that we can coach people where we don't have to worry about a few things. But yeah, let's update on ElkBros Adventures. And if you guys don't know what we do, we are elk hunting coaches. So all of our archery hunts are coached elk hunts, which means that when somebody purchases a hunt with us, they are coached months ahead of time. With the materials and the content that we have, preparing them for calling. They're going through coursework, they're going through webinars, they're doing one-on-one practice. And then when they arrive in camp, from the moment they arrive, y'all, they ain't staying in no lodge because that ain't us. And our coached hunts, they're in their own sleep system, they're in their tents, they're bringing all their gear, whether, we had Reese who was in a one-man light mountain tent to guys that set up large tents, that they were going to stay in. So everybody comes and the whole goal of this is to make people into the best DIY hunters. So from every aspect, we're doing that. And then once they get there and they get camp set up, the training starts right then, man. I mean, we immediately start doing training and we're doing simulations and scenarios and working on their calling. We actually, as soon as they get there, they're doing a proficiency test, because if they can't put one broadhead arrow in, they get one arrow, 30 yards, 9-inch plate. It doesn't go in there. They are not hunting until we know that they are on with that. And it puts pressure on them because there they are with us and everybody watching. And that's a good thing, man, because we want that pressure to happen then rather than to happen on an animal, right? So it's really cool. So we do that education on that day. We're doing all this practicing. We take them on cadence of calling, going through the woods. We teach them how to move through the woods. We do a thing called clocks, which is really awesome on showing people that your shots in the woods are not with both feet on the ground, being able to stand, feet perpendicular and, rock it like you do in your backyard. I mean, we're doing all around an animal, different angles, different shot angles, different levels, your feet, where you're at, you're being high, you're being low. So we work all of that, and we're doing all of these aspects of training to then the next morning on the next training day, we do what we call a gray light scenario, where it's a mock hunt, basically, with our coaches in the woods being elk, and these guys having to use that skill set that they've been learning all this time and now put it into reality, but still in a safe environment where they're not going to have to deal with that animal right away. The only problem is when we do this in our area, we've had animals that interrupted us.
Yeah. Called animals in, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're not ready to rock and roll yet, but
I want to add some context to that, right? So we did that
sure.
at the chase, and I want people to understand it's just like the proficiency test, right? You're coming into camp, you're with Gil, you're with Jose, you're with Jeremy, you're with Joe, you're with me, Luis. Um, the pressure is real.
It
Like
is real.
my hunter had great instincts, right?
Yeah.
But it's let me get this done and show them I could do it, right? The entire scenario was blown. It's like bam, there, it's blown, right?
Yeah.
And it's an interesting
Dichotomy.
perspective again
Yeah.
to be at that, well, maybe it's not 10,000, maybe you're at 2,000 foot view, but you're letting them make the decision and you're just checking on what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. I think it was Jeremy on that hunt, and he was like, "Yeah, I saw you here, I saw you there, you were blown there, you were blown here, caught you over there, walking there." I mean, it
That's
is
when we were doing with the gray light scenario in the morning, right?
yeah.
the first rifle hunt, right? And I mean, it is really an amazing thing to watch just the pressure of who's around you come to that and make you feel like you're on a hunt. It is
was-
unbelievable how efficient it is.
It was really cool. One of the first ones we did with Mike Rowley and Doc Warren and his dad, I had both of them with me. And man, we had Mike Rowley coming in as a bull, and Doc and his dad are doing their thing. Doc's out front. We got him set up. And then Doc's father, I'm trying to remember, is his name Paul?
Mike.
Is that correct? Mike.
Yeah.
Doc's father, Mike, he hits this cow call, and it's just like, man, I mean, it's really rough, right? He does it again and again, and the bull goes away, right?
He just wanted to pull. He pulled a Luis Gonzalez, man.
Yeah,
That's
because
all. There's nothing wrong
Mike
with that.
Rowley heard that and he was like, "Oop, I'm leaving." So I'm like, "All right, dude, we got to hook him back up and go run him down, right?" But then he started getting the cadence right, and the bull started coming closer. So it was really cool to have that. Mike go, "Well, I know that's not the way it's supposed to sound, so I'm not going to react to that," right?
All of our guys, man, have had all of those experiences with elk, and how many
Yes.
times, right?
Yes. It was phenomenal. It was very cool.
Really, really neat to see that. We do that for the first 2 days, and then you have 5 days of hunting where they're with a coach, right? And y'all, we're putting our guys in the driver's seat, just like any coach on the sideline does. We're letting them make decisions, we're giving them information, we're giving them strategies, and letting them make choices, right? Hopefully from everything that we've worked prior to for those 3 months, and then on those days where they actually get to get that feel, man, because there's nothing like the boots on the ground, man, because your mind has all of these viewpoints and perspectives of stuff that get lined out once you get there, right? The reality of the area and the situation. So that's what, that's where we're so different in that, I mean, you come in there, we had 2 guys on one hunt. And in those 2 guys, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 staff working, teaching, coaching these guys to get them ready. So it's not just about you going on a hunt. With us, it's about the education and taking something away. And, we had dudes that did not kill.
Yeah.
But they felt like they gained decades of experience. And
they did.
And left there like they had killed something. I mean, you could just see it in their spirit, man.
What's crazy is we talk failure points all the time, right? The fact that you can walk into camp and we are literally knocking those failure points out one after the next, after the next, after the next. Now, this is not just Joe's perspective on failure points or Luis's or Gil's or Jose's or Jeremy's or mine. It's all of us.
Yeah.
This is where I screwed up this one time.
Collective.
This is hugely, it's a collective of failure points. You're knocking them out, 2 at a time, 3 at a time. Coach goes, I give instruction, and then Jeremy sees something and goes, "Oh, what about this on that as well?" Right? So it's just this collaboration, and it's just unfreaking real how much you get just if you took everything else away. The fact that you get to go through the experience and what we've failed on time and time again, doesn't mean we won't do it again because we know about it, right? Things happen, worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
Man,
And it's so interesting you say that, Guy, because the company I currently work for, we have rigs in different basins, and
performance based.
the approach that we have taken is that we want to have a rig fleet mentality. And the fleet mentality is precisely that. Is how do we take the learnings from one rig to the other, and
Yep.
not only within that basin, but with the other
Take it.
basin. So
Right.
we have considerably improved our performance
Through the
across all
rig
three
share. Yep.
basins
Mhm.
because the knowledge share between
Yep.
the rigs.
Yep.
And so what you're explaining right now is exactly that.
It's
And
performance based training, man.
well,
It really
again,
is.
you're compiling the experiences of all the hunters, even at the same camp.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then just makes it more exponential because
Yeah.
everybody's there to learn, everybody's there to share.
Same.
So
It's the same
yeah,
way in my business, Luis.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right. You can have an incident on a project, and the safety manager and, me as VP of operations, we know. But guess what? If 10 other projects don't know, what good is it? Right? It's
Yeah.
the same thing. We got to disseminate that. And the way that we all collaborate together, right? And that approach for the benefit of the hunter is impressive, right? Like Joe said earlier, like the folks that are involved in this, no one has an ego too big, right? And everybody puts all the BS down and you go after it, right? It's the same freaking mission across, all the guys. How many guys?
Yeah. Well, for the longest time in our industry, like Luis is talking about, we got really good at talking about how bad things were,
Right.
but we never did really well at showing what great we've done, right? And what good has transpired. And I think this crew, this curriculum is at its zenith when we're all together. And it's really powerful when we can set all of that in one setting and really dive into the dichotomy of all the failures that are there, and then unleash the knowledge share that we have back into the hunter, back into the other coaches. I learned so much from our coaches that were there, just listening to the way that they break down thought, the way they break down a
That's the
situation.
perspective thing, right?
Yeah,
You know what
it
I
is.
mean? And the different
yeah,
angles. And I'm going to go to you, Jeremy, in a second because, and here's the other great benefit is,
Can I time out for a second here, Joe? Sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
Big O,
yeah.
you can't be pulling big words, several ones in the same podcast. You can do one at a time, but like zenith and dichotomy and all this stuff, you're getting me confused, bro. I mean, let's keep it just to a level where like people with basic English can understand,
We
okay? I
call
mean, you can't do
Si,
too many
senor.
like that. Okay, thank
Si,
you.
senor.
Where
Appreciate
does
that.
dichotomy live? I've never. So the thing I was going to say is here's one of the great benefits out of this is that we had 6 different coached archery elk camps and 2 hours away from each other, right? In 2 different properties. But for the first time ever, we did a coached rifle camp. And I was really, when we first thought about doing that idea, I was like, I don't know really how is that going to go. And so all I did was, after guiding for 30 years, I just took all the failure points that I had seen as a guide with the people I've had that over the years kept them from being successful. And then we found ways, a lot of them similar to some of the stuff we're doing in archery, but some stuff that is very specific, right? And how to overcome the drills to overcome those things. And, Jeremy got to experience that. Jose was there running that, at that camp. And what was y'all's opinion of the coach rifle camp? Oh, and Guy was one of our leaders there as well. But I want to get Jose and Jeremy on that.
My experience I really thought it was an awesome thing because when we were actually in the field doing the actual hunt, I saw stuff that you and I and everybody here that would just do it naturally when you're on the pursuit of the kill. And like you said earlier, the hunters, they're used to waiting for you to say, do this or do that, or do the other. But the ones that I took out I was really impressed with one of the hunters, and he he was taught during that course to once you take that shot to keep shooting until that thing is done,
Roll the bolt.
until
Roll the bolt.
he's down.
Reacquire, right?
And this bull that came in, I mean, he called him in, and he didn't realize that the bull was going to be at 18 yards in front of him. And I told him, I'm like, dude, he's going to pop out right in front of us. And he's like, where? And about that time, all we seen was a rack coming out of the creek. And I'm like, right there. And I was like trying to find a place to take off running because he was coming in hot. But this old boy, man, he put the smack down on that bull. Shot his first shot. I could see he was nervous as heck. But the second shot, he just kept, and he unloaded that gun. And the bull finally fell. And I'm like, perfect, man. I didn't have to tell him, shoot, keep shooting. And, but yeah, he unloaded it.
We drilled
he
it.
was sitting there. Yeah.
We drilled it.
And I popped the clip out for him, and I reloaded for him, and I put it back in. I'm like, stay on him. And he's like, I'm on him. You know? So that's what I thought was awesome. And the knowledge that he took out there was, man, you just kick back into the seat, just watch it.
On that coached hunt, every bull on that rifle hunt was killed 60 yards and under.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Wow.
60
It was
yards under.
unbelievable.
On a rifle hunt, bud. And what was so cool about that is, and if for you guys listening, the rifle hunters, we preach this is you have to be ready and you have to be confident in shooting offhand, man. That 100 yards in happens so much. And, you know, to have that skill set where you're not wasting time because you don't have time, you know, it's kind of like that 30-yard shot for us with the archers, right? You got to know that 30-yard distance and be able to make that shot when those animals 30 yards and under come in. And that's the same thing with this. And, you know, we had guys, man, that they made sure that they had their scope dialed all the way down. Right? They're down to 4 or 6. And that's another huge, error a lot of guys make out there. You know, when they're hunting like that, you're so much better dialing up than getting caught in a moment, because there's been a lot of animals killed with a 4-power scope. But man, it sure is hard to acquire a target when you're dialed up to 16. Right?
Oh, man.
That thing's
Or
at 40,
35.
50, 60, 70 yards, right? It's yeah. So, it was really cool to see and a really good experience. And how did you had something that you were going to say earlier, Jeremy?
Oh, yeah. I think something over last year that I really noticed is our hunters had a much better foundation coming in this year too, with the training that we did even before camp. I think something I've seen in hunters in the past, and even in my friends, is they pick those 1 or 2 things that they love. Like some people might pick calling, some people might pick marksmanship. Right. And they nail those things, but they don't study everything that they need to know. And no one came in, 100% this year on everything, but I think
your dad did. That dude, Deadeye, sorry.
He was doing all right. But I think guys really came in with a solid foundation, and so they knew enough to understand what we were trying to tell them to get them to the next level. Because you can't understand thermals, or we can't ask you what to do in the morning if you don't understand thermals. We can't ask you to alter the pitch of your bugle if you're still working on your cow call. So I think that preseason training really came together this year with folks showing up.
I think really what was cool, what really made me feel good was in every camp we had from newbie, ground zero, both in rifle and archery. We had ground zero guys on our rifle and on our archery. We had ground zero guys all the way to guys that had been, 10 years in the rifle, guys that have been hunting 15 years, that when they got done said that they learned so much, because you can hunt. It's like playing backyard basketball, man. You can play basketball all the time, and you can be practicing the same bad habits all the time, right? Yeah. You can get the ball through the hoop, right? You can score. But does that mean that you're being as efficient as you could be? And I think that's the difference, that a lot of them coming in learned a lot of efficiency, right? that was a real cool part about it. So our cast and our crew, y'all, you're going to be meeting a lot of these people, and let me tell you, it's going to be a joy, for you to meet people like Jeremy here, Jose here, and we call Jose the mayor. The guys have given him that nickname, and this guy's like an elk whisperer on our ranch there, that he can call it, man, and he's just been invaluable. I think actually, Jose, I think you're using an app, aren't you? Isn't that what's happening?
AI.
AI.
It's
We're
all
so
luck.
lucky to have Jose. I don't think
He said
there
it's
was
all
a
luck.
kill that
I'm coming with you from now on, Mayor. I promise you. I got a mule
You're
deer
more
and a date.
welcome.
So
You're more welcome.
if you wonder what we've been doing since July, man, we had to get 2 camps ready. We did so much to get each area. One has a cabin, and we made it all solar, and this is very remote. We had a lot of improvements at both places that we worked on doing to make it a better experience and to get ready for what we were going to do with the coaching. We did a summit with all of our coaches where we all trained together. Everybody that you get as an ElkBros coach is ElkBros certified. They all get the same training. They have the same baseline, and most of these guys, all these guys are just daggum incredible woodsmen, elk hunters, and it's just
Human beings.
it's awesome. It's awesome.
Phenomenal men.
Well, there's
Yep.
a pride and ownership thing that was very loud to me, right? Some of the guys coming in first year, some of the guys, they stepped in the coaches camp and it was the first time meeting them, but there was an absolute pride and ownership, and a work ethic like no other, right? There's not, this is my job, your job, my client, your client, none of that. It was shared responsibility from start to finish and an absolute pride in ElkBros Adventure Camp.
Great analogy, guy.
Yeah, it was just
Great
phenomenal.
Jose, you've worked with it as an individual, and now you've worked with a team. What was that like?
And I'll tell you what, I really loved it because first of all, when the coaches were coming in and stuff like that, I wasn't expecting too much at first, but man, these guys, they know their stuff. You know what I mean? It was so awesome. And being on that ranch, I could have said, you know what, I'm gonna go to this area, you guys go to this area, whatever. But you know what? I got more joy out of sending Jeremy or Sanchez or any of the guys to some of the best spots.
Yeah.
And it was awesome to see what when they come back there, they kept telling me over and over and over, and I still hear it in my head. Man, this guy, don't ever doubt him. Don't ever doubt him. It's like, but I got more joy out of that. And it was, your excitement level through the whole hunt was just, boom, it was way up here, man. There was never none of these downers, and it was so awesome that we'd hunt a couple of days here, swap it up with the other guys and stuff like that. And I think it was awesome, man. Jeremy and we got to go down on together. We got to hunt together with one of the hunters, and I told him, I'm like, dude, you want to do a scenario here with an elk rut fest? And man, I was just leading off of what he was doing. He was leading off of what I was doing, and man, it was unbelievable. And the hunter was just, after we finished up, the hunter was like, oh my God, it was like, it was unbelievable, man. It's like, yeah, these guys know their stuff. And I was so proud of each and every one of them. And yeah, they can put it down, man. They
For
can
sure.
put it down.
I got a question for you, man. With
Yes,
all
sir.
the years of guiding and then your experience at Adventure Camp this year, did your life start anew in guiding because of it?
It did. It was unbelievable. I'm still learning, I never ever thought I knew everything, but I'm still learning from you guys. I'm gonna tell you guys the truth right now. The calls that you guys use, I've never used them ever, and I kept playing with them and playing with them and playing with them, and that's all I use now. And seeing other hunters, Mike, we had a young hunter in camp, and There was another gentleman that was trying to teach that kid different calls, but to me, it seemed like that kid related better with Mike, and we sent them off by themselves, and I could hear Mike calling and calling and calling. Man, I'll tell you what, dude. The third night, I was telling RC there at supper, I'm like, ask this guy to give you some calls. This kid wouldn't even talk at the dinner table. And this kid come out and he's doing his cow calls, he's doing his bugles. It was unbelievable the way you guys have taught these guys how to do this kind of stuff. And that's what I was missing. All these years that I've been guiding, I get in that it's not a tunnel vision, but it's almost a kill. And everything to us comes naturally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're going up there, the wind changes directions, we right away know, blah, 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 blah. But with these hunters, man, it was like they would feel the wind direction like that. They'd hit their puffer or whatever they had. And I just thought that was unbelievable. I was like, heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. That was success right there, whether they killed anything or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I got to do a hunt with,
and this is a paid commercial.
yeah. I got to do a
The
I
reason
got
I
to do
asked
a-
that question is that's huge, right? I mean, we're talking, Joe's talking, Gil's talking, Luis talking, I'm talking, and our perspective of this, but to have Jose come in, who's, you know,
Brand
a
new.
seasoned vet,
For sure.
taking folks out and killing animals, right? To come in and see the difference that this makes, it changed his perspective on what a, you know, air quote, right? On what a guide is, on what
Well,
we
I
should
think
be
I think it just goes
doing
back
out there.
to the genius idea of the coaching versus the guiding, man. That
Well, yeah, but still, right? You can go wrong with it. You can have
can.
the
No,
idea.
100%. But I think that was like, you know, under the leadership of Joe developing all of that vision.
Just
It's
goes to
just
show you that when you bring it all together and guys work together to get to the amount of education or the amount of ownership in what we're doing, when everybody works together, it's really powerful. I got to
Joe's been
spend
saying it forever.
for sure,
Right.
and
Passion.
I got to spend a couple of days with the Quiet Assassin down there in camp on a rifle hunt, and it was not easy. It was tough. We had real adverse conditions. When he showed up, I had been there a couple of days, luckily, to do a little bit of scouting, and I had some elk found. And I'm like you, Jose. I'm gonna give my guys the best spot I know, right? And then it's going to be on me to go hunt something else, right?
Yep.
And he came in and I told him where I found those elk, and he goes, Big O, I don't want to go over there, man. There wasn't nothing up there when archery season. It sucked. I said, little brother, I said, you don't know me well enough yet, but at the end of the day, I'm never going to lie to you about where I found elk, okay? And I'm telling you, they're there. And he's like, all right, well, when he come back the next morning, he goes, oh my God, I'm never going to doubt you again, brother. He goes, wow. He goes, oh my gosh. But because he did that, it keyed us in to being successful for all four of our hunters, right? It really did, because we needed to narrow that down and go attack that area the way we did. And without him being forthcoming with the information about what he expanded on, it really made the difference in us being successful on that guided hunt, right? That
Yeah,
was a
that-
guided hunt and not a coached hunt.
That's where I wanted to, so the people, you know, you've heard about our coached hunts, and we do all of our archery and one of our rifle is coached. Well, the rest of our rifle hunts are what we call teaching guide hunts. And I say that teaching guide because we never want any client we have to ever feel like they're behind us being taken, shown, there's the animal, shoot it. We want them involved in the process, involved in the hunt, involved in every aspect. They're going to clean that animal. They're going to help pack it out. They're going to be involved in every aspect of that hunt. And it makes it so much more of an elevated level, you know, that yes, we have the experience, but we get to share that with them, what our thoughts are, and involve them in the process. So that's when things change, when we get to that part. And really for our team, a lot of our guys, it's so much easier for our guys to jump in the lead because they're used to doing that. They're natural leaders. And to learn to coach and to really put other people there and give them options so that they can make some decisions and then kind of coach them through some of that. Because I can tell you, I saw Jeremy with some of our hunters that was really like, well, you know, because they had chose option A, and Jeremy's like, well, I just want you to know we have this option B, we have this option C, and really, because Jeremy's like, option A isn't that good, fellas, you know? And he's just giving them and giving reasons why for the options, and they could,
like it.
no, we're good where we're at, and it's
I
like,
like it.
good. You know, because that's their decision, right?
Yeah.
And then after the end of the day, we can discuss that with them. Well, how did that work out for you? Let me tell you what I was thinking, because I'll tell you this, as a coach, it's kind of like the example I've given people that in my basketball game, I'll have a kid come across center court, and before he even hits the 3-point line, he's jacking up a shot, and I'm going, no, and it goes in, you're going, yeah.
Yes.
You know, so sometimes, you know, the decisions that we think are the best decision isn't always, man, and it's elk hunting, right? It's
It
elk
is
hunting.
elk
So,
hunting. Yeah.
One of those with my dad. We're walking along behind the house at Chase, and he's like, I think I want to blow a bugle. I'm like, why? Our wind's going straight in there. He's like, because I want to. Bugles and just right back at us. Okay, yep. All right, we're going in there.
there you go. Why? Nothing happens if you don't
gotta
put
let
it in the air, man. So what I want to do next is, you know, let's talk about Blue Collar Elk Hunting Podcast, because we have been on a 5-month hiatus, and it's because, y'all, there just wasn't the bandwidth between, you know, July to get everything ready for the season, which isn't going to have to be so brutal now because we've done a lot. It doesn't mean we're
We'll
going to
be-
be under. Yeah,
We'll be better set next year to
be way better set.
even run a podcast from elk camp, man, and
Yeah.
like we used to, you know.
That's always easy for you to say, Gil, because you ain't got to edit it and get it out. Right? So.
We're going to get you an editor, Joe, so don't worry, brother. It's all good.
But what does this mean for the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Podcast to you guys, to our listeners? All right. Does it change the dynamic? Well, I can tell you this, you know, you're going to be seeing, you know, you're going to be see a lot of like Jose's and Jeremy's, and you're going to see, you know, Chico and Dallin and Dano and Charlie, and you're going to be meeting all these people, Mike, right? Keith, you're going to be meeting all of these people, Randy Foote, man. When we put our best foot forward, it's Randy, right? We've got so many great people out there, and I haven't named them all. You're going to be meeting them all, and that's going to bring so many varied experience levels, and you guys are going to benefit from this because you're going to, and I think the best thing about our campfire is you hear the discussion, because Guy and I are not alike on everything. Me and Gil are not alike on everything. You know, Jose's seen, and I can tell you this, man, when you take a look at our properties, the Chase property and the Martinez property, totally two different type of experiences, right? So they bring things to the table that people can apply for themselves, right? So I think those perceptions and angles that you're going to see through, and we're going to be bringing a lot of our hunters that have gone through the program. We're going to bring them on because, you know, these guys saw it from their side, and then what they brought to the table and what was different, what they expected and what it actually was, you know, and I think those lessons that they went through and how they explain it, I think are going to help so many people like that. So I just think the varied experiences that you guys are going to get from our guys that do their own public hunts, from ourselves when we do public hunts, the takeaways that you get from the coaching and the guiding of others, and I think the huge part in this is going to be there's going to be some really cool rifle elk content as well.
Oh man,
Wait till me and Gil are done.
Wait till what, Bubba?
I said, wait until me and Gil are done.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right. Well, I shouldn't just say me and Gil, because Dallin was a huge asset in that. So we got some stuff coming for you guys that is going to blow your minds.
The content coming up is going to be really super. And you know what's cool is Luis has a special perspective on this, because Luis has been an ElkBros coach for a while, but it's always been, it's been in our very beginnings. It was one camp. right? It was one group of hunters. It was on public land in the beginning of when we were building this plane. So he gets the perspective now from there to what's going on now as well, and has been a huge part of that building, because where we are now is because of everybody that's been involved in it, right?
Yep, because of season one. Started season one, and here we are now, brother. So
Yep.
the way it's evolved has been absolutely. It's really hard to put words to it. It's incredible. It's a testament to our people. It's a testament to the vision that we've had. It's a testament to Joe's curriculum and the vision that he has just straight out of base camp, man. Like the old song, straight out of Compton, straight out of base camp. And it is, when we put that stuff to work, I use so much of it this year on my own personal elk hunt, and Luis and I in our own personal hunts. It was just and we struggled. We struggled during elk season this year, but the struggles were so real and so freaking awesome to go through with my brother Luis. This is really the first season I got to hunt with him. We'd hunt every now and then together, or as a group, we'd be with Joe or whatever. But Luis and I actually got to go attack the Martinez Ranch, and look, had an unbelievable opportunity to have the legend with us on the first day. I mean, when you got the legend RC Knox with you, or Leroy Chavez with you, you got so much elk hunting knowledge with you that you can't help but learn something. And the cool thing about RC being with us that first day, and he was not 100%. He was hurting. He has been hurting. RC, we're praying for you, brother. But at the end of the day, he came, and it meant enough to him to come with me and Luis and share the mountain with us that day. And man, it was like nothing was wrong with him, man, at all. I mean, the dude walked us for 5 miles through the hills and up and down, and it was just incredible, man. But just
You'd be insulted if you offered help.
yeah, man, no doubt. And got to call a bull in the first morning. So and in the most we wouldn't have thought we was gonna do it there, doing something I would have never thought I would, panting through my tube. And a bull goes right below us. It's like, oh my gosh, we were just dumbfounded, you know. It's September 1st or September 2nd, you know.
Hold on. I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
buddy.
I'm sorry
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt, but because you gave me the idea.
I love it, dude. You the man. You the man.
That's coming up on the website.
Yeah, that's too cool, man. Too cool, brother.
I don't know, man. Tony might get mad because he's got one of those straight out of elk camps too, like that, man. So yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do this, man. Let's go to so we can get some learning here.
Yes. Yeah.
We're gonna go to ElkBros mailbox. Guy, do you have that pulled up?
Seth Wally out of Fort Collins, Colorado. First, if elk are blown out of an area, how likely is it that they will return to the same area? For instance, I found a secluded bench/depression about 100 yards across and maybe 200 yards long on the side of a mountain. I sent out some calf calls, and the young bull came straight across to where I was. I made a bad shot, hit a tree, and of course the bull ran off. What are the chances that bull will be in the same area the next day if it didn't see or smell me? There were a lot of elk in the unit, and it seems to be a more resident elk type area rather than a migration area. As another example, my buddy called in a different bull that got hung up at about 50 yards away with the wind in our favor. We didn't really know how to set up well, and I think it probably saw us or knew that something wasn't right and left. The area that it came from smelled strongly of elk, so I suspect that bull spent a lot of time in that area. If the bull wasn't spooked badly, how likely is it that elk will return to that same spot the next day? Is it better to wait a day and then return to that spot, or later?
Great question, man.
And it's a real good question, and I want to hit some of this on each part of it there, because one thing I want you to understand that, is, first of all, you found a bench depression on the side of a hill that's going to be a natural attraction to elk, no
All the
matter
time.
what, right?
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. And is it going to be that same one? Well, so it depends on the time of year. So if this is like pre-rut, and these bulls are in their lairs and you're finding them in that area, well, there's a good chance, yes, maybe, that's a possibility. But once you start getting into the rut, the people that think that they're going to find the same bull in the same spot, I don't care if you leave them alone. Those elk are moving, man. They're looking for cows. They're pushing their cows. They got satellites pushing them. They can be here today, gone tomorrow. And
Early in the
week.
season, Joe, they'll be right there, though, man. If you
Early
don't
in the
blow,
season.
if you don't blow them up, right?
early in the season,
if you
right?
don't blow them up, then
Before
you can
those
go
bulls
right
have really
back in.
started searching, because we had one area on the ranch that there was a ridge that was keeping all the bulls because they were staying in that area until those cows started going, until they started going off, and you could find them on that ridge. And then once things started moving, you couldn't find none of them on that ridge. And then when you started finding bulls with cows, you'd find them here today, there tomorrow, gone the next day, right?
Yeah.
So because they're moving and they're rotating, Same thing happens on both our properties, man. You could be on the Chase property and you have a group that comes through one day and they're in there, right? And then they move off and then they're out, and you're going to have to wait till another group moves in, because it's all these transitionings that are happening. As long as there's elk pushing other elk, and these bulls are pushing, these cows are going, trying to find places, the idea of it being the same bull is a tough one, right?
Definitely, but there could be other bulls that were in that herd.
100%.
And that's what I want to say is, John and I got into a big herd of elk in
Now you're talking October, right?
no, so we're talking I don't know what he said that time of
He didn't say anything.
he didn't say. So
I'm thinking archery.
we're talking about November. John and I just got back off a hunt, and we got into a big group of elk on a ridge that they were laid down, and there was over 100 head of elk in there when we snuck in there on them. And as it would be, you'd have these century cows that are laid out there, and they finally picked us off, right? Coming in, they all got up, they all got real nervous. I calmed them down with some calf calls and some cow calls, and then a couple of them took off running. I got a regathering mew up, and the bulls were like, what's going on? Then I bugled once, that really turned the bulls around.
This is in November, y'all.
This in November. I
Using the
shut
fall.
that herd down 3 times, man, so my hunter could get in there and get on him. And it just didn't work. It wasn't that bull's day to die. I promise you, he got really close to dying, but it wasn't that bull's day to die. But what happened is we came out of that area that after that morning, and we came back to camp. And Dallin and his hunter decided to hunt over the top of us that evening, and they actually came down a ridge where John and I were, right? Well, lo and behold, there was a straggler of one of them bulls that left that herd of elk, I promise you, because they all scattered like ants. That bull stayed on that ridge the whole time, and when they came down, they ended up killing that bull right there on that ridge.
That's That's a different bull at that time of year, right?
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, because I want you guys to realize what's going on, man. You go from large groups of cows that are together with the bulls being off on their own thing to, that's those bulls that were on the ridge where you guys, Luis, right? They were all along that ridge in the area. Then all of a sudden they start moving off there, trying to split those cows, and you end up with the smaller groups, and now things are pushing around, they're rotating, everything's moving to the point where, okay, now we're getting from there to, we're in October, still happening like that, still groups moving, still stuff going on, to where now the big guys start to split off, the little guys come back in like they were in the first place, and now you're starting to group up again towards November, right? December, huge groups like that, right? But, the idea of your question where, you made a bad shot, and if he didn't smell me, is he going to be there? That I got news for you. The residency doesn't happen. It's not a migration. It's just an activity. These animals are pushing and pushing. That's why you can see an animal on a game cam in an area in September. And
Never seen
2
that.
days later, he's freaking 10 miles away.
7 miles away.
Yeah, like that. So, and then on your second example, like where you say that the elk smelled strongly, so you think they spent a lot of time in the area, that just meant that they just, unless it's a bedding area, but they just pissed and bedded there in that.
Yeah.
And that is, if it's a bedding area, elk will continue to come back in rotations and bed in those same areas. It might not be the same group, but they know their bedding areas, they know their feed areas, they know their water areas. It's their home. So wait a day, I don't know that you can't really time it like that. I mean, there might be a different group in there the next day, right?
The problem with doing that too is you, excuse me, for the lack of a better phrase, fall in love with the landscape, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I smell elk in here, and you have a bad habit building to go to that spot, to go that spot, to go that spot, right? Well, they were in there, like Joe said once, but food, water, shelter. How does that look in their, in their radius that they're hanging out in, right? So look for those areas that are in a, 2 mile, call it proximity, right? Something that you can get to, but don't fall in love with the landscape.
Yeah, and I would say too, if they didn't smell you, they probably didn't go that far, half mile,
Unless pushed by
yeah,
something,
unless they're
right?
pushed, right? But if they smell you, ooh, man, there ain't no telling how far
Hey,
they might go.
bark at them, chuckle at them, something after that missed
Slow 'em
shot, right?
down.
Don't just miss the shot and then that's
to
a
your
done
knees.
deal. Bark at them and see if you can slow them down and stop them, get them curious to come back.
That's
what I would do if in that scenario right there is I would go back to that same area, but where he set up, where he was talking about, I would set up below where the elk was, because the simple fact is when that bull or elk are coming in, and if they're above you and they're hearing you down below them, they already got the advantage point.
100.
So that puts them at a relief,
Big time.
and then when they start coming, man, hit them with that calf collar or whatever you got to do, and they're already relaxed. So they know they already got the advantage point, and that's worked for me a bunch of times. And you could ask Jeremy, it's like, dude, I would go check this point out there. I call it Johnny's Point, and I told him, I'm like, check that point and see what you think. What'd he do? He come back that night and he's like, dude, there's a bull staring at us at 40 yards on top of this point. Well, he was relaxed, but these guys happened to move. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, put him in a relaxed position. Yeah.
Great point.
And you'll call him back in. Heck yeah.
Yep.
The guy said is a really good point, though, that, I mean, for context, this happened to me on a very high pressured leftover area this year. If they don't smell you, bark at them, do something.
Yeah, stop them, slow them
I had
down.
a situation, I was stalking in on these two bulls, and my buddy didn't know there was elk there, and he just walks up right behind me. Bulls see us, they don't smell us, they blow out. I bark, hear a bugle down the canyon, so I take off thinking they tore out of there. Well, I come back, and my buddy's like, no, they started fighting 50 yards away as soon as you left.
Yeah.
They'll slow down, they'll stop.
It's the same thing that happened to me and Wolf. We just slowed them down. We sounded like elk in there with them, and it shut them down. Like they went back to doing what elk do, just grazing and feeding and stuff. It was the wildest thing I learned about a herd of elk is you could booger them a little bit, and they don't know what you are. They don't smell you. They run into another herd of elk, and you just slow them down.
I think something else more of too, that when they're blowing elk, I see people they blow the herd and they're like, oh, it's done. Well, elk leave tracks, and if you follow them for long enough, they're gonna slow down, walk, and start feeding.
100%.
Don't give up on it. Just stay on them.
So Seth, I hope that helped you out, man. You got a lot of perspectives right there, bud. And it sounds to me like you were having a great time. So keep doing that, man. Just keep.
Heck yeah, you found a good area. Keep going back.
Yep, 100%.
Grab some of that elk smell off the ground, bro, and rub it all over your face and neck.
Yeah, man.
Your chest.
Roll around in it.
Roll around in it.
In elk all day though.
So we're going to get back to our regular ElkBros shout outs next time. But I didn't want to jump over this. I wanted to give a couple of special shout outs, man. The first one is to Jason, because Jason says he listens to us all the time. And he says that he knows that his town will never make the top listeners. And you guys know where this town is. It's Watrous, New Mexico, between Wagon Mound and Vegas, right?
Yeah.
And so, Jason, we're giving a shout out to Watras, New Mexico, bud. All right. So we want to thank you for listening. And it doesn't matter how small you are, man, because we're proof of that. Right here in Cimarron, New Mexico, we're proof of that. All right. And then our other shout out, man, is to Dave DeBello, because I really thought this was important to have a reminder of what this is all about that we're doing. And Dave really described that. In fact, Dave, he's from West Virginia, but retired from the Air Force and is now in Morgan, Utah. And he was the one that sent an email to me going, please tell me the ElkBros are still together. I haven't heard a podcast. And
No divorces here.
And he was so thankful to everything that we did. And he sent me this email earlier prior to that one, said, you probably hear this all the time, but I'm telling you now, I would not have filled my first solo archery elk tag if it wasn't for your course and your podcasts. I've listened to every episode and most more than twice. You all are an incredible crew who only want people to succeed, and I am forever indebted to what you have taught me and what I can now teach my own boys. I feel like I know each of you and would be remiss if I did not share my success with the ElkBros crew. Please pass along my gratitude to the team and thank you from the bottom of my heart. So Dave, huge shout out to you, man. Thank you, brother.
Way to go, Dave.
Okay.
Thank you so much for reaching out to us, man. This is what we do this for sure.
And we're going to hit this. What is this called? We're going to call it that. What is it, Guy?
Main content.
Main content.
There you go, Gil. You hit me.
Thank you,
hit me
brother.
off guard earlier.
That's okay, dude. I know we're a little rusty, man.
You didn't even look up like I'm.
I know, dog.
So here's what I want to. I want to give my 3 most glaring possible failure points from the season, and number one, the biggest overall possible failure point that I saw, it happens all the time with elk hunters where they go, there's no elk here, where they write off an area after not seeing fresh sign or hearing bugles for the hunt, right? Or for the season. And Jeremy's a good example of that. I'm not throwing him under the bus, but, like Jeremy went into an area there during archery season, right? And he's like, man, which was how many days did you go in that area?
In archery?
Yeah.
We were in there 2 days.
2 days, right? Okay. And
3 days.
3 days? All right. And he said, they're not here. Well, I'll believe it. But what he did in his mind was they weren't there in archery season. So when we get there in November, October, they're not going to be there, right? And I see the same thing happen with guys that, and they'll do it the opposite way. Like there'll be an area in our ranch that's just hot, man. And it happens on both the chase. It happens both, like when we were coaching our rifle hunt, man, the guys we're in camp and we're watching a bull walk by, bugling 100 yards away while we're doing instruction. Walking by. So the hunters are like, yeah, tomorrow we're going to smash it. They get up in the morning and it is crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets, right? Because just because they saw elk there, right? It's like, oh, they're going to be there forever. No, it doesn't work like that. Them critters are on the move, right? So there are areas that they want to go to. There are areas that they want to transition through. There's areas they want to bed, that they want to drink. That's why it's important to learn those types of patterns. But those also shift according to the need of the animal, the type of bull, whether that's that first pre-rut, whether that's that, transition bull, whether that's that rut bull, whether that's post-rut bull, right? That's like Jose said, man, he was just waiting for that canyon to fill up with big bulls, man, because they're going to get away
from all always.
Cows, right? Yeah.
I think people need to hear this, though, that when Joe says and Jose says waiting for big bulls, there were big bulls in there. Jose was just waiting for the freaks.
It's all in perspective, right, Jeremy? A big bull to you is a big bull to everybody, right? So,
but I see guys do that where they'll go on a morning hunt and they'll go, I saw no sign, Or they'll go into an area and they'll see all kinds of signs and say, I'm going back to that area. Well, okay, understand something about fresh crap and piss. That means elk were there. Doesn't mean they are there, right? Or you can go into an area where there's old sign, but there's no fresh crap or piss. That just means they're not there right now or haven't been there right now. It doesn't mean
They
they're not.
were there.
They were there
It's like
because there was sign there.
It's like the turning signal on a car.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's on, it only means that it's working. It doesn't mean the person is actually gonna turn.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what's
Look, I harken
What if they
back
hit their brakes, Luis?
Yeah.
I said turning light. I said turning signal.
I harken back to Luis and I hunting together this year. As we hunted so many different areas, and we covered a lot of ground. But we knew there were elk in the area, and they were giving us the slip, and they were doing things that elk do. They survive, and they get hip to your movements as well. So we had to get really unconventional with some things and covering a whole lot of ground. And Joe and I, the cool thing about our camp is just everybody shares information selflessly, right? And even our guys this year in the rifle hunt and the archery hunts, we shared everything that we knew. Heck, in the rifle hunts, we were hunting 2 and 3 areas a morning, right? Because we didn't get in them there, so we just drive to another area, get out, and start doing what we do and finding elk. And Luis and I did that. We found elk in one area. We left that area, went to a total different area. Total different area of the ranch, and then ended up, hitting a herd of elk over there that actually changed all gear. I actually got to watch those elk move from one spot, and they just kind of circled around that whole herd, just kind of moved around the ranch. It was really neat to see, and it may not have been the exact herd, but it was a big part of it. And I got to watch that all year and really understand the travel habits. It's kind of like fishing, finding those drains and those trenasses that those fish like to move up and down. And
Hold on. Now, fish can. I thought elk were in a trenasse. Now fish can be in a trenasse.
Oh, absolutely, dude. They're underwater trenasses.
Here we go, man.
And when you find them underwater trenasses, it's like gold mine. So when Luis and I really found those spots, it really led us into some things.
Now, wait, if you found a trenasse, did you swim in through the trenasse?
No, man, these were
elk?
dry ones, man. But he tried to take me down a boulderized mountain that almost killed me, man. So at the end of the
Boulderized
day,
mountain with a trenasse you had to swim through.
yeah.
But I want you to think about something though, Gil, is some of those areas that you found the bulls in that early, on that ridge, were the places that they disappeared from, but then they reappeared
Came back.
later, right?
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
So that's the thing. I'm trying to get people to connect some of this stuff. That's like, when Jose talks about a particular canyon there, it disappeared of animals there was a time in there where they just disappeared, right? They're there early on because I saw the big old tracks, right, before. And then once the rut happened, they disappeared because they went where the cows were, right?
Joe, we wanted the potato patch at the Martinez to pay off, man. Everybody knows that is an epic place for bulls to be, right? And we worked extremely hard to make that happen. In several of the elk hunts this year, there were lots of bulls seen in the potato patch.
Right.
The hunt right before my rifle hunt, there were 5, 6 bulls seen in the potato patch. I hunted that potato patch 3 mornings in a row. 3 mornings in a row, and not a peep, not a sound. But I know that area like the back of my hand.
It's going to fill
I know
up.
it's going to fill up, right? So I kept going back to the well in the evening, And then lo and behold, the evening that it happened, there were 21 cows and two really big bulls roll up in there. But you had to stay persistent. You had to stay understanding of that area. But had I not known that, I probably would have hunted one time and said, oh man,
There's no,
didn't see anything. I'm going somewhere else, right?
my point exactly, man, because I mean, you take, for example, on the chase, right? Had those guys not seen that elk the day before, going right by camp with cows, bugling, screaming going on all around us, if they hadn't seen that, they hunted the next day, all of that area, nothing, man.
Yeah.
And we're really like kind of long in the jaw, like depressed, right? Like what the heck, man? Where are the elk at, right? Well, it wasn't until the evening of the next day. It was the evening of the next day when they started going through that transition again. A bull goes down. The next day, a bull goes down in the same area. But if people would have gone in there in that phase, the way those guys hunted it, they'd have gone, no, let's go 5 miles, man, because there's no elk here. And it really wasn't that there weren't any elk. You just had to understand the animal's movement, what they're looking for, what the time of year is, and where they're going to be. That's the map that Jose has on that place, right?
Yeah.
Because he's seen it for so many years, and now we've seen it in the Martinez, but you can see the same thing in other areas. If you locate those bedding areas, those feeding areas, and those watering areas and understand transition, if you do that, you can start to figure out where those animals are going to be.
Guy, you got to see our perspective, mine and Luis's perspective, and then hunting with the master, Joe Gillia. You got to see both of those areas in transition. What'd you take away from that when it comes down to the biggest overall failure point, where there's no elk here, or there's no sign here, or something like that? I mean, you guys got to see both. No sign, no elk, and then all of a sudden you go right back in there and it's full up, right?
That goes to, in my head, it goes to identifying country that elk want to be in.
Right.
It's
100%.
like Seth's email, and Joe pointed it out, right? You found a bench on a mountainside, a bench, depression. I think it's really understanding that, hey, okay, I got sign that looks like it's a year old, 2 years old. Why do they want to be here? What is this, a transition? Am I working my way up, towards this saddle, swimming through this crenasse? Am I on a bench? It's really about that
Coming
landscape and right
Coming from all corners now.
and why the elk want to be there. I think that's a bigger, in my head, I'll take the wife out in the woods, right? I don't see any poop, right? I'm not worried about the poop. I'm looking at the landscape. Why do they want to be here? Food, shelter, water.
The biggest bull I ever called in for Gil there on public land never saw a daggum fresh dropping one in that area.
Right.
And
Not one thing.
And it could have been because we weren't where they were feeding, that they were just moving through, but they did move through that area, man, and we got into a good group there. I'm gonna take this to the next one. I think we got that idea across, and we can actually hit that even more when we start. I'm telling y'all, man, the content that we're going to start deciphering is going to be a lot of fun, man. So the biggest rifle hunter possible failure point that I saw, and when I say possible failure point, I think it's a huge failure point. For you, it could be a possible failure point if you don't fix it. So this is giving you word for the wise. And what I see with rifle hunters, man, is they do a great job of getting sighted in on a bench. And here's the other thing. Just because you sight in North Carolina doesn't mean you can go to Colorado mountains and that gun is hitting the same place you think it is. You had better shoot in that environment, okay? Because generally you're going to be off. I've seen guns that have been sighted in Houston that came up, my gun being one of them, right? Yep. Came up and was definitely off, right? So it's just the difference in the air and the different things that happen like that. So, but the biggest possible failure point for you is a lot of people, they're good with their gun, they've got it sight in, they can shoot well, they've got all these things, but they don't work on the actual shooting setup and target acquisition, the real thing, the real
meat and potatoes.
Joe, we were at the range. Joe comes up to me. his tripods are getting yanked,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, and I looked at Joe and I just kind of laughed, right? Because for me, I told Joe, this is 98% of Western hunters. This is the setup. This is what guys are carrying around, right? And Joe's going, like, shoot to kill now.
Yeah, the
Right?
animal's
So,
100 yards away. You
right,
pull up, put it in there, shoot that animal, right?
right.
But you have to practice offhand to do that. So when you go to a range, after your gun, your gun's sighted in, that you're hitting holes and stuff like that. Then now you've got to put yourself in you've got to work
Shooting
on
scenarios.
Yeah. So what happens? So, like for example, you take guys out. Now they're in the chase ranch. What are those trees like up there, Jose? Are there a lot of branches you can just go up on a tree and shoot off of?
Not really. A lot of brush.
Not them cedars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's brush,
No,
right?
it's too brushy. Yeah.
Yeah. So guys don't take the shooting stick because they think they can get on a branch, and you find out, well, okay, now here's an animal in front of you. You got a shot presented. You're not able to get on anything around you, and you got to take this shot. How are you going to get in if you don't have sticks, or if it's closer and you need to get that shot? Can you do on a one kneel? Can you do on a sit on your butt? What's the most comfortable for you? Getting down in prone. Now, if you get in prone, there's other risks of other things that you can do if you're not high enough to be able to utilize that, right? Or can you stand and really get tuck and know where to get on that gun so that you have the most comfortable shooting position for that? So really getting yourself ready to shoot other than the way that you want to shoot. Everybody, well, I got the bipod. Well, what if you can't get down? If you get down, the grass is too high and you don't have a shot, right? It's that getting into shooting setup, taking that shot, acquiring that target is where I saw the biggest failures. And when you're going to acquire that target, when you go up with that scope, you don't want to be looking to the side to seeing the animal and then try to find it in the scope. You want to have that scope right underneath your eye. You look at that and you bring that scope right up to the eye and line it right to it. Find the things that are around that animal that you can recognize, not just the animal. If you see an off color, if you see a certain tree, if you see a branch sticking out, so that you're seeing that and you look and okay, it's right below that, and you're right on your acquiring, right? So I'm telling you that's what I saw as one of the biggest
100%.
possible failures for success.
100%.
I think your follow-up shots have gotta count. Those after that first shot, man, you gotta be, just like you said, set
Roll the
up
bolt.
to make number 2 and number 3 shot. Whatever you got to capitalize on that.
I got to give a big shout out to them boys that came out of Montgomery, Texas, man, that came and hunted with us. Pat and his crew, they started in April. They started shooting in April out to 650, and them boys had it dialed in, brother. And they weren't just shooting from bench rest. They were shooting prone. They were shooting off a bog pod. I mean, the whole 9 yards. I got, my left arm is like Popeye now, man. I carried around an 8.5 pound death grip bog pod with me, but I knew we were going to need to make some long shots, man. I knew we were going to be out there in an area of the ranch that was going to take us to, past 300 several times. And Pat was cool with it. He was like, them boys showed up and they dialed in at 100. There was 4 clovers. I'm talking all touching in the bull, right in the top of the bull. So they had to make adjustments on the rifle when they were all a little bit high, right? They all were about 3 or 4 inches high. We dialed them back down, set the zero stop on their turrets, on their scope, man, and it was rock and roll time. And when it got down to it, these boys were not going to shy away. Jeremy had a guy that was like, I'm taking one at 1,000. He just, he would tell Jeremy to scare him. He said, I'm shooting him at 1,000 yards. And Jeremy walked over to me. He goes, dude, I really think he's thinking he's going to do that. I'm like, well, you can control that, little brother. And so Rusty was a handful, but man, it was a lot of fun. These guys ended up shooting. Pat shot his bull at 564 yards, and didn't hit him one time. He hit him 4 times, and it took all four to get him put down. And I mean, look, I'm not talking about 4 bad shots. I'm talking four on the money, right? He had one that was a little back that was liver, but the other 3 were in the pocket, right? So that bull took it like it was nobody's business. And the other guys made one at 215. Is that right, Jeremy? One of them shot at 215 yards, and then the other one was 485. So I mean, 485 is no easy feat either. But these guys were dialed in, knew their weapons. We worked a lot with them in the field as we were setting in our scenario on what felt good, right? Shooting off a knee or shooting sitting down. And what we found, Pat was more comfortable with his back against a tree, sitting in with that bog pot in front of him at knees up and elbows on his knees and rock solid, man. And I mean, he felt solid. He shot solid the same way with the rest of the guys.
But there were definitely guys
Brad
that
Lynn too.
there were definitely guys that could have had really nice animals, but struggled with target acquisition and struggled with setup, right?
Yeah.
So
again, but they weren't as practiced, Joe.
right. No, they didn't go through the coach part of it, you know.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
Not even target acquisition, but one thing I saw, not just with rifle hunters, but with archers, custom turrets and slider sights.
Yeah.
You got to practice your holdovers because it's great if you can dial to the exact yardage. But if you have a bull at 55 yards and you have a 50 pin, you better be taking that shot. Same with a rifle. If you have a bullet
Heck yeah.
at 150 and your scope's at 200, you're not dialing to 150. You got to be comfortable taking
shooting.
shots.
Right.
You have to have that sense of urgency. They're not going to stand there forever.
And you know, that sense of there's a good point right there too, is that
Heck yeah.
sense of urgency, that guys have to be able to work with a sense of urgency, you know, and not panic through it. And that comes from practicing that type of situation, putting yourself in that situation, right?
Jeremy's got another good one. Don't stay in your binoculars when we could be staying in the scope, huh, Jeremy?
100%.
You know?
And that's one thing as a guide for years. I always told my guys, if you want to look at an animal, you look at them through the scope. I've got them through the binos. So you look at them through the scope. We don't want to do both. So let's go to the biggest archery possible failure point that I saw was setup and calling choices. And what I mean by that is once they got in, first of all, the whole setup is hard, is really difficult. The guys, when they have to make a choice from, they've had that, you know, that response and where should I set up? How should I set up? You know, should I rush in? Should I stay back? That's a tough position for people right there. And then once they get set up, should I call? Should I call forward? Should I shut up? And most people will make the mistake of just calling just because it's comforting for them to think or know that the animal's coming in sometimes, right? But I think the biggest issue that I saw in most people, setup, I think, is 90% of the failure a lot of time. What would you think about that, Luis?
Well, I mean, I can tell you, I wasn't there for most of the hunts to see, you know, kind of the
But you've
failures.
experienced it so much.
Yeah, I got tons of failures, that's for sure. But I can tell you though that this year it was an odd one, and this year is actually something to the listeners. I'm seeking help. I'm trying to figure out. I'm getting old and my eyesight is not getting good. And so I had to get glasses. And it turns out that the bridge in my glasses block my peep when I draw. And so I'm struggling to find glasses that will fit. And a lot of people say, well, get contacts. I've tried every contact there is. I had LASIK in the past and apparently changed the shape of my eyesight, and I can't have LASIK to work. So if you guys can think of any solutions, that would be awesome, because the problem is even the glasses I found that work when I draw, having glasses sucks, because when you sprint down a hill and you are heated up and sweating, and you get to the edge of a park full of elk, you can't see the elk because your glasses are all fogged up.
Bro,
So
what?
yeah,
Fogged up.
heard it.
Fogged up.
Yes, yes.
So
He meant
Luis,
fogged. He meant fogged.
so I
It
struggled with
works
this.
both ways, Joe. It is intentional.
Luis, I struggled with that last year, right? So I'm going from I can shoot 100 yards like nobody's business, and last year I'm going, man, 70 is my max, right? And I came out of that season going, I got to do something.
Yeah.
Changed my pin size, and then went through and changed pin colors to see what really, really helped on it. And it literally changed from last year to this year. I didn't have any issues with distance and target acquisition and star bursting and blurred pin, blurred everything, right, by doing that. So I would look at the pin size and the colors of the pin. It was a huge help for me.
Oh my God, man, it sucks. But yeah, that was kind of the biggest thing I struggle with this year. I think there's also, man, Beto and I experienced something that, and we talked about it, man. I mean, I'm not as experienced as y'all, but I know Beto's got tons of experience. But the 7 years, 8 years I've been hunting with you guys, you learn something every year. And I think this year, Gilbert and I, we found ourselves into situations where we saw elk, and we got excited, man. And it just, we're passionate about this, right? And we took decisions. We thought we were making the right decisions at the moment. Those were split quick decisions that after the fact, we kind of sat down and talked about it, and I was like, dude, we kind of rushed that. We could have gone about it completely differently and probably been more successful. And even though we said that once, we did it again probably 2 more times. And so I think it is important to you have the knowledge, you have the opportunity, you have the advantage because you've seen the animal and it hasn't seen you or smelled you. Take the time to really think it through, and make the best approach, because
Don't have to call to every animal.
No,
you don't have to. You don't have to make a call right away. You understand your topography, understand your wind, and then make really a decision on what's the best approach. I mean, you got 2 people there. You don't have to hit them. You don't have to approach them from the same direction. I mean, you can have a plan A and a backup plan for the other shooter too. I mean, there's just a lot of things depending on the topography and the condition of where the animal is at that you can do to be successful. And look, we made mistakes. We made mistakes in how we did that.
So
Joe,
I'm going to give a little rule here real quick off of with it, because I want people to think about this, because I always talk about why we call. We call because it's always better for us to be still and the animal looking for us rather than them still and us looking for them. But when you have spotted that animal and that animal is moving and you already see them, now you have other options, right? It doesn't mean you have to call to bring them into you. If they don't know you're there, they're moving and you know where they're at. Now you have an advantage right now because you've seen them, right? So just think about that. Again, we call because we want to be still and have animals find us when we're bring them to us, look for us, rather than them be still and us moving into them. We have a huge disadvantage. Once we see them, it's so different, man, because we have a predator's mindset. Use that predator's mindset. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another thing that I saw on our coach hunts, Joe, guys really struggled with understanding what distance looks like, right? I mean, a lot of misses, a lot of errant shots, things like that they just didn't understand what distance was, right? And for me, I ain't shooting at an animal unless I know its distance, right? If he's inside 20 yards, I pretty well know I can use dang near all my pins and probably get the job done, right? I mean, we had a hunter one time with Joe. Bull walks in at about 9 yards, and yeah, and he asked Joe which pin, and Joe tells him all of them. Just put them all in there and let it rip. I saw guys coming back and didn't understand the distance, and they still drew their bow back, still made the shot, and it was just more of a hope, right? And you're gonna get let down more. Then you're ever going to win in something like that. Getting lucky, it don't happen a whole lot in this business, man. If there's a way this will humble you when you really need to understand what that distance is. I was very fortunate in my hunt. I had a cameraman on my 6. He called the yardage. I had to trust him. And it didn't look like the yardage was right. It actually looked like that bull was a lot further. He was downhill from me. But he called the yardage 3 times. And I'm like, that's enough for me. If Bull decides he's going to let there and stand there and watch me draw my bow, he's going to die, right? So I know that some of our coached hunters had some struggles, we had a couple of errant shots that actually connected, but they weren't fatal. And you guys know as well as I do, man, when we let an arrow go, we're responsible for where that thing goes. And if you
don't
don't
always get to control it. You have other
right.
circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, there's
sometimes,
limbs
but
out there. There's what do you call them big tall things? Guy mullen or
mullen,
whatever.
yeah,
Common
Yeah,
mullen.
them big
sunflowers.
mullins.
We had
Yeah,
somebody hit a sunflower.
sunflower. I mean, all of that stuff comes into play. I had a whole bunch of junk above me and below me to shoot through. A little window between it, about 1.5 foot gap between 2 trees to send it. But that's my shot every morning out here from the road, right? I shoot down a corridor through the bushes. All of that goes into play in our
Yeah.
practice,
Don't be
right?
afraid of the extra movement either. And
Yeah,
then when practice to when it becomes second nature when you pull that rangefinder, when you range, when you draw, when you call or you try to stop and you do all of that, right? I mean, I my shot this year put me in a situation where, I mean,
unbelievable.
it all had to happen really,
So
really
fast.
fast.
Yep.
And so, but I was nervous about, really
The
understanding the
distance.
distance, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, it was literally a run, drop on the knees, range not at the animal, but where I
But
thought
where he
the
thought
animal
he was
was
going
going
to
to
come
come
out.
out,
Yeah.
and then, draw, and then wait for the animal to step in front, and then stop, and then shoot. And this all happened in
So
seconds.
fast. And
And
we
so,
we both called to the animal to stop him,
yeah,
both
yeah,
and the deer stopped and turned and it was over, dude. He
yeah,
sent
but
it. I don't think he even realized he sent the arrow. It happened that fast.
yeah.
The draw, the centering of the shot, and I mean, it happened so fast, dude.
Yeah, but it goes back to your point of like, man, that for me that distance is very important because I am not very good at judging distance without a
It'll get
rangefinder.
worse when your eyes keep getting worse.
Yeah,
Well, it is.
Well,
That depth perception's
100%.
going to start going. You're going to go,
What
oh, what?
Oh,
100%, 100%.
yeah, I think that 30 in, like I said, I think if people focused on being able to know 30 in, you're generally going to have more time on animals that are past that, and you're going to
right.
have that ability level. But it's when they're tight and hot that you've got to be
Yeah.
ready for that type of shot. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that takes some of that pressure off when you can know and feel that, right?
And look, Joe, our guys came in shooting dimes, man, in the clocks and all of that. But as soon as you put that pressure on them, and I'm sure it doesn't feel like it at the time, but when you weight them down with them having to make that decision in that split second, it's different.
100%.
It's so different. It's
Yes.
so different. And I'm telling you, it's nothing more than experience, you
Right.
know. It's why we say when we get the first one, it gets easier because that experience with that pressure, you start laying in it, right? And you start like, oh, I felt this before, and it's a good feeling, right? It's not something that's foreign that you want to just punch that trigger as soon as you get it back. It's really dialing in and feeling that feeling, right? I can't explain it, but experience helps. the more you hunt animals and the more you put that pin on. Luis and I are just so privileged to be in a state where we hunt year round. You know, I'm fixing to leave for a few days, and man, there's going to be some bloodletting going on
But
because
it's
Whoa,
generally from
wait
a
a minute.
fixed distance, right?
How come I don't know about this?
It's generally from a fixed distance, though, when you guys,
yes, it
right?
is. It is,
But
Joe.
yeah,
We know when our animals walk in from a tree stand where they're standing. I get an opportunity to range. It's so different from elk hunt, but the kill part is still the pressure, right? It's still that understanding that animal's anatomy, the angle that he's at, the whole nine, it
sure.
all goes into that. So when you have that experience of 15, 20 kills a year under your belt, it's a whole lot easier to dial that down when we're in the, not a hot lot for me because I'm sucking wind most of the time. But at the end of the day, it's a whole lot easier for me to relish into that pressure because I have these kills behind me and I
And
know what it feels like.
and that's one thing too. Before we get out of here tonight, because I don't know if I ever remember it again, but we had the privilege of being with Gil in the mountains on his birthday,
Oh
and
my gosh.
I've had that privilege on your
16 years.
40th birthday.
Yes, sir. 16 years. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I've known you since your 40th to now you're 50,
Sixth.
56 now.
Yeah.
And I was the one that used to be my client at one
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
Took your bull with me. There were conditions to you hunting with me, and I've seen your journey over the years, and been amazed by your journey. And everything that you've done and every success you've had in doing this has been because you've worked your friggin' tail off, and it hasn't been easy, and you got to convince yourself, and sometimes we justify our weak points and things like that. But I can tell you this, man, I had Gil walking with me on, up there in the mountains, and 16 years later from when I met him, and 16-year older Gil Ornelas is a better man. I don't know about all that other stuff with, people and everything, but better man physically 16 years later than you were at age 40. When I came down that mountain, and I mean, I'm moving down that mountain, and I mean, you're just step for step with me. When we started going things, I get down to the bottom, and we're stopping and calling. You're stopping and calling, and I tell you, Gil used to have a strategy when we moved through the hills. He would stop just to have, well,
Did you hear that?
what did you think that sound was? Just so you could catch your breath, right?
Hell yeah, dude.
And, I just got to tell you, dude, man, I'm just so proud of you and what you've done and the things that you've overcome. You've taken pain physically, you've fought through it. You're just tremendous out in the woods. I mean, you had other hunters with you that were younger than you on hunts that you were guiding that they had to like suck some wind, which is a huge tribute to you, man. And so
It's a
this
tribute
stuff
to all
about
of you.
round being a shape and everything,
Yeah.
BS,
Yeah.
this guy,
Oh.
yeah.
I still got a lot of work to do, but it's because of y'all that it's made it so much worth it, man. Again, I feel a kinship to every one of you. I feel like I'm in debt to every one of you, and man, y'all have made my life much better the last 16 years, for sure. And I can't wait to do it again on the 17th, man. So that's for sure. And look, I knew coming into this year I was dealing with a few things, but it was not going to stop me. I got my daughter to patch me up a little bit, man, and thank God for a little bit of ibuprofen and stuff like that. But we got it done, man, and I was I was very proud of how Luis and I, attacked the mountain together. It was really fun with him. But the coup de grace, no doubt, was getting to hunt with Guy Duplantier and spend time with Guy on the mountain. It meant the world to me. And then to have my mentor come into camp on my birthday and stretch it out with me one last evening. And we got close. We had a bull talking to us up on the side of a ridge. We just run out of daylight. So it was what it was. But yeah, I was going to either pass out or die trying keeping up and calling with you. And the cool thing was I got an attaboy on how well I sounded too. So that's always good.
Yeah,
When
man.
you get an attaboy from
And I mean, I've even seen Jose doing this dude has just got his own personal trainer. He's been working his butt off. And man, I tell you, you're looking great, Jose, man. And
definitely, brother.
you're making the rest of us feel bad, man. So,
But it don't get any easier, does it, guy?
No, not at all, man. Not at
Don't
all.
get any easier.
yeah.
That's for sure. I say on my rucks in the morning, man, we're going to try to stay in shape so we ain't got to get in shape, and round is a shape. But at the end of the day, man, we're going to keep doing what we do because this is what we love, right, Joe?
Yep. And listeners, some of those things that we just talked about, the failure points, and we talked about, we're going to go into those things and much, much more as we bring this content to you in all different areas with different people, different guests. I hope we keep bringing this to you so that you're learning something from it. That's the goal. We are very proud of what we're doing. We've worked our butts off to get where we are. We are who we are. I had somebody that talked to me the other day, and look, you talk to us, we don't know how to be any different than what we are. And, one thing about this industry, this whole like social media thing, we have to do some of that because it's part of the business and letting you guys know what we're doing. It seems like in that world, a lot of people are in the tear down business. They just want to, they want to see people fail and celebrate those failures, but we're in the build up business and we're in the share education business. And you can either drink from we don't know everything. We're just letting you know what we do know and what's worked for us, and we make mistakes still. We're going to continue to make them, and when we make them, we're going to teach you about them so that you hopefully don't make the same ones. But that's who we are, and we're educators. We're here to to help you and to teach you and to share for you. And you can either drink from that fountain, or hopefully if you learn one thing, it does something for you. But there's going to be more of this content coming. We're glad to be back. Thank you to all the boys that showed up here tonight, man. And until we see the next time, Gil, it's all yours.
Joe, y'all got to understand, Joe don't like me pimping anything on the podcast, really. But at the end of the day, we still got hunts available on the Chase Ranch for this December
only,
coming up. Yeah, December coming up, guys. Jose Santos got on my post and posted a really nice note, and he was like, Big O's 100% right. These big bulls start filing in here like cordwood coming out of these dadgum hills. And if y'all want to kill a big bull, please reach out to us at ElkBros Adventures. We got hunts available, I believe December the 1st through the 5th, and I can't remember the other dates.
7th through the 13th, and then I think the 15th through 17th or something like that. I'd have to look at. But,
just check us out at elkbrosadventures.com and you can see those dates there. We still have them available, and we're booking for 2026.
We're booking a lot of hunts quick right now.
Yeah.
So
So
get on it.
Get your requests in now. I mean, things are really filling up. We're so blessed, man. But what I really wanted to get out to everybody is everybody's going to get ready here after January 1st, putting in for the draws. They need to be on our Adventure Club, Joe.
Yes.
Let them know real quick what Adventure Club's about and how to get on it.
So our Adventure Club is basically for less than what you would put in for some states and have, 1 in 1,000 chance. You can join our Adventure Club for, I believe it's $325, right around there. And in that, you're going to get connected to our educational resources. You're going to have access to our webinars, to our online course. You're going to our success materials, and you will have a 1 in 32 chance to draw a hunt with the ElkBros. 1 in 32 chance, and that's about as good as we can do with that, man.
Dude, He says that's just about as that's the best odds anywhere in the world
Yes, sir.
on anything that you're paying money to bet against or bet for or apply to. I mean, he downplays that. Sorry, Joe.
Well, and
No,
there's
it's true.
discount codes on there, so you can actually, you know,
Pay
for
for your
what you're
membership.
paying, you can get so much out of it. The education alone is worth it. So that's our ElkBros Adventure Club. You can find that on our elkbrosadventure.com. And to me, it's one way to give opportunity. Somebody's going to get a 10,000. Well, more than just one person, because every time we get 32 people, every time
We
they
add
do that,
another.
we
We
re-up
give
a
another
hunt.
hunt away.
So
Yes, sir.
hunters can win a $10,000 hunt for $325.
Phenomenal, Joe. Guys, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, rate, and review us. You have to go to Apple Podcasts or iTunes to review, and be sure to include your name and where you're from to get in on our Spinner Winner Wheel. We'll be bringing that back. It's a drawing that we do and put all our names there on the Spinner Winner Wheel, and they'll be getting, man, anything from what Guy might be putting in. And yeah, check out if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see Jose Santos's bull here. He's got him pulled up. So if you're
Crazy.
watching on YouTube, you'll see it. So make sure you get in on our Spinner Winner Wheel drawing, and you can check out more elk hunting content at elkbros.com. And just a reminder, if any of our listeners would like their questions answered on the show, just send your questions to joe at elkbros.com. And like we say down here in the Lone Star State, husbands kiss your wives, wives kiss your husbands, hug your babies, keep your broadhead sharp and your powder dry. And we'll see you next week right here on Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Peace
Jose,
be
you
to
should have let
everybody.
that bull go one more year.
Peace.
Should have grown a little more.
Yeah, he should have let it go one more year.
He could have grown just a little bit more one more year.
What a stud, bro.
God bless you, everybody.
See you guys.
Peace.
Where others fear is home to me. No boundaries for my soul. The pounding, the primal blood, driving hunger like no other, running through my veins. No man versus nature, only me versus me. A centuries old challenge, raging deep inside my soul. No anger, malice or evil, only a hunter and his prey. This is my life, country born and raised. When that whistle blows, I'm on the trail, pounding in my head. There's a will, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. This is my life, I know it's my day, my life. Don't think you know me, my life. No odds will own me, my destiny, my way. Like a ghost unseen, tasting every scent, knowing with every breeze. The trail before me, the fire burning inside me. This is what we live for, honor, passion, and pain. This is my life, grinder born and raised. When that whistle blows, I'm on the trail, pounding in my head. There's a will, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. This is my life, I know it's my day, my life. Don't think you know me, my life. No odds will own me, my destiny, my way. This is my life, runner born and raised. When that whistle blows, I'm on the trail, pounding in my head. There's a will, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. This is my life, I know it's my day.